Hey everyone, come over here. We're going to talk for a minute, okay? This is Honest and Unfiltered, but we're starting a series for specifically artists. And by artist, I mean any sort of creative individual ever, especially those who are trying to start or grow their creative craft into a business, make any sort of sale or anything like that. So this one is a really quick and dirty video about how to use your artist statement to help you make sales. Okay, so a few tips that you might not necessarily hear in other places. It's not going to be about how to specifically write your artist statement. For that, I will do another video at some point, or you can go to one of my workshops or classes. But this will help you to use your artist statement more effectively. So, is an artist statement important? Yes. Why? Because it can actually really help you to get more sales and more customers and grow your audience. People tend to buy from those they know and trust. So the more people can get to know you, the more they're going to trust you and know that you're this human being who's putting all of this work and effort into your creative craft. And it makes it worth more to them. And they're more willing to part with their hard-earned money to buy a piece of that. And so, an example, I've got an example for you. I had this exhibit, I had an opening reception at this exhibit, and I was being kind of monopolized by this very high maintenance person. So they were just talking, and I couldn't diplomatically get myself away from that conversation very well. And I saw this couple come in, and they were walking around, my artwork's along all the walls, pretty big space, and they were walking, and I saw them, and they're really looking hardcore at each piece going along, and I cued into them immediately because people who do that are very interested in your work. So they're making their way around, and I'm trying to focus on this person and get out of this conversation that I was, in, and I see them coming around this way, and I'm starting to freak out because I think they're going to be leaving, and I'm not going to have been able to speak to them at all, and there's a sale that could have just walked out the door because of this other person who's just taking up all my time. And so I'm trying to find a diplomatic way to get out of that, and they're over there, and then they stop at my artist statement. And I was like, yes, because that meant I still had a chance. So my artist statement was on the wall, and they were reading it, and I could see out of the corner of my eye that they were reading it, and I was like, yeah. And then I could see that they were finished. And I was not yet finished with this conversation. However, instead of walking out the door, they stopped, and they waited for me. And they waited. And they waited. And then they bought 8 prints once I actually finally went over and talked to them for a while. So that artist statement is what stopped them in their tracks and made it so that they wanted to stay and talk to me and have me make a sale. So, couple tips. Ready? Tip number 1. Artist statements should not just be a white piece of paper with your life story on it written out with just text. Okay? People aren't going to stop and read that. Not anymore. They might have in the past, but not so much anymore. So make it visual, okay? That you don't want it to be one paragraph. You don't want it to be just white and text. You want a picture of you, especially if you can have a picture of you making your creative work. Maybe a picture of a piece that you've done, one of your best ones, right? And then section out your writing into a few different sections so that it's easier for people to read. Okay, that's tip number 1. Tip number 2, make it super visible. You don't want to have this on the corner in the shelf that nobody's going to see, okay? I have my piece as a 16 by 20 framed foam board that has, color and stuff and all the images and everything, and it's hung up right there with my artwork so that when people are going along looking at the artwork, they just stumble right upon it, and they're like, oh, I'll read that, and it's got a nice big title, got a picture of me drawing, it has one of my best pieces, it has color in the background, and it's got nice big text for people to read, and it's sectioned out so that's really, really easy for people to read. So, step number 2, make it really visible, make it very visual, right? Tip number 3, you want to make it interesting. So, they don't want to know, people don't have any interest really in where you were born, where you're from necessarily, or what you did when you were 5, or how you did through high school and what you did here and there, unless it's directly related to how you started drawing or painting or sculpting or crafting or whatever it is that you do. So keep it really, really relevant. The background of just how you started doing your creative craft. Okay, that's it. Just how you started doing that, and then some about why you do it and how yours is different from other people's. So for me, a huge thing of mine is that I draw in colored pencil, like this. So this was drawn in colored pencil. And lots of people, when they realize that, because you don't necessarily realize that when you look at it, they're like, what? Are you sure? And I'll be like, yeah, no, the 100 hours or so that I spent drawing it, I'm pretty sure it was colored pencil all the way. So it's just like people wouldn't realize that it's, here's a print, so it's shiny, but people might not realize that it's colored pencil. So I have to say in big letters, like why colored pencil and how I started with colored pencil to show that. And that's really big, and that garners a lot of interest. So if you have something that leaves people like wondering something or asking questions or really intrigued, that's going to help, and that's going to have them contact you. So tip number whatever we're at 4, have contact information on your artist's statement. Please do this. Like your website would be best if you have one, an email, a phone number maybe, whatever it is, some way for people to contact you. Having business cards there is great too. You should definitely do that. But if those are all gone and you don't realize it, and it'll still allow people to get in touch with you. So contact information, something that I hardly ever see on people's artist statements. It should be there every time. Really visible. Okay. For more information, go to www.karinathurston.com, right? That's it. That's all you need to do. So those are my quick tips to help you gain more interest with your artist statement for now. Also, if you like this shirt, check out Cat Studios Tees on Etsy. It's backwards because the camera's backwards, but you get it. All right, good luck. I want you to make all the sales.